or when I started my career after the academy, my ambitions were, of course, pretty high. And I was working hard to create pieces which could make a good name to me, which could be successful at the exhibitions and competitions. And I think that it's obvious that when you are starting your career, this should be your aim to be really good, to become famous, and maybe to become rich, of course. That's the best if everything is coming together. But it doesn't work the same way every time. When I am becoming older, my ambitions are not so great and big anymore, because I got feeling that I did enough, for my, maybe not enough, but in my eyes, I think I did what I could, right? So I started to deal with glass when I was 15 years old. Now I am 71 years old guy. So actually I am dealing with glass for 56 years till now. I started like an apprentice at the Bohemian Glassworks, which was one of the biggest enterprises in former Czechoslovakia. And I was trained like a future code worker, future glass cutter, who's supposed to work at the factory like a series production worker. And I did it only for 1 year. And afterwards, I became a student at the oldest glass school in the world, in Kamenický Šenov. It's northern Bohemia. I was there for 4 years. And after this, I used to work like a headmaster at the factory, like a glass cutter. And after 3 years, I became a student of Professor Stanislav Libenský, who is well known in the world, like probably the best ever Czech glass artist. So I was very happy that I could study with him. And after career, like an artist, when I was 30 years old. And everything before was like preparation for this. In some other countries, it takes a little shorter time. But in our country, in former Czechoslovakia, it was really long time educational system and program until you were like allowed to have a diploma and permission to be a freelance artist.
Also, I'm just wondering, you have so many nice artwork. What are you inspired from?
This is obvious question for artists, but it's really hard to answer it, because even I don't know sometimes where it came from. Usually it's just, daily life, nature, my wife, love, whatever, I don't have just one way of inspiration. I just suddenly I got some idea from somewhere and I just do it. So, but one thing which I do lately are portraits like this one behind me. And then of course the inspiration is the person who I am making, who I am creating in glass. So then my plan was to make portraits of famous people, Czech and also some foreigners. And lately I was doing a set of portraits of famous people who used to live in this region, in this county. There are several very famous artists and writers and such people who used to live nearby. So I made decision to make the set of portrait of these famous people. So then it's clear that inspiration came directly from the faces of those people, right?
Very interesting. I saw one of your portraits, especially. I love it. It's the Churchill one.
Yes, it's the last one actually.
It's the last one.
Yeah, I read his biography. I think it's about 6 books, this thick. Do you know those biographical books written by Churchill? He got Nobel Prize for it. Oh. He got Nobel Prize. Fantastic. And when I was reading all his story about the Second World War and everything, what was going on in Asia and Europe, it's a fantastic story. And I must say that I admire him. Of course, he was a very complicated person, you know.
Yes.
Some people did.
Always, to me, the texture is really smooth, and the way how you approach it, I think is very interesting, because when you zoom into Churchill's eyes, it got a lot of like motions and also texture and also layering as well. So how did you make it happen?
Well, you mentioned eyes. Yes. That's the main important part of the face. Yeah. So I spent actually quite a lot of time to study sculptures made by other artists, also antique Roman and Greek portraits, how they were making, you know, eyes technically. Right. So every time when I am making some other portrait, I must really think how to technically make these details, because it says a lot about the guy. And if you don't make this good, the portrait doesn't work. It is not good anymore. So I must say that I am happy if I can make the person that his personality is really projected into glass. It is not easy because glass is a cold material. It's transparent. So not everything what is done in clay, which I start with, it doesn't look the same in glass. So I have to think how probably the light will go through the material, how it will appear when it's done and when it's finished. So if I am successful, I am happy, of course. You know, I am not that guy who really wants to make my glass only beautiful. I would like to make nice sculptures at the first glance. And of course, you should do it nicely. Technically, technologically, it should be perfect, of course. But for me, it's the second line. First of all, I would like customers that they like my objects, sculptures, not because they are beautiful, but because there is something inside, right?